score 40-36. While Judge Barbara Perez has it 39-37. All for the winner by unanimous decision, the crown jewel.
You know it's AB, always balling, always boarding, a lot of bills. You know what's going on, man. You know, shout out to Crown Jewels Boxing, man. You know, my people. You know, they get it in over there, straight up.
Lamar Peterson giving a shout out to CrownJewelBoxing.com.
What's good, YouTube? It's Crown Jewel from Crown Jewel Boxing, back with a gem. Roy Jones Jr., the Hall of Fame, dynamic, great all-time great fighter, has been in the news a lot over the last few days concerning Adrien Broner's proposed next opponent, Mikey Williams Jr. Because Mikey Williams Jr. being Adrien Broner's third opponent that had to pull out of the fight. The other two were both due to promotional contracts and reasons. This one due to an injury sustained in sparring that happened at Roy Jones's camp as he was serving as co-trainer of Mikey Williams. Now, a lot has been said. We've heard from Mikey Williams Sr. and he basically came straight out and blamed Roy. Felt like Roy was sabotaging his son because he didn't want to fight. Spoke to Roy's wife, telling, you know, Michael to, you know, make sure he won, because if he didn't win, it was going to make Roy's brand look bad. And his son feeling like he was being mistreated the whole time he was there. So, of course, you know, we needed to hear the other side. We need to hear what Roy has to say about all these accusations, because there are some pretty serious accusations. And, you know, there's a serious injury to a young man who stands to lose, from what I understand, a pretty big paycheck due to these injuries. So, without further ado, I want to play a little bit of what Roy said in his response. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but he identified the two people that Mikey Williams Jr. was sparring in his camp as both 135-pounders. One of which he only allowed to use one hand with Michael Williams, and the other one, you know, was able to spar. But again, two 135-pounders, and he was saying that they both were giving him problems. And he was saying, why would I, you know, agree to him fighting against Adrien Broner when at 147, when he's having problems with two 3-0 135-pounders, you know, speaking to their lack of experience and being much smaller than AB. And he also said AB has won more world titles than these guys had fights, which is true. With that being said, maybe we need to look at this thing a little different. Maybe, and I hate to say this, maybe this injury is a blessing in disguise. Because if what Roy is saying is true, and Michael Williams Jr. was able to get his jaw broke in 14 or 16-ounce gloves against a 135-pound 3-0 fighter, what was going to happen when Adrien Broner hit him in 8-ounce gloves and no headgear? And we all know, regardless of what you think of AB, he's always been a very big puncher, and the last thing any fighter loses is his punching power. With that being said, I don't think any of us looked at this matchup when it was announced and thought that it was a competitive matchup. And like I said, I'm all for the young man getting his money, but what I'm not for is a fighter being unnecessarily seriously damaged in a fight that he really has no real chance of winning. So if we listen to what Roy is saying he was looking out for Michael Williams Jr. and he thought that AB would be too much. That was his personal opinion. I don't think anybody can question, not his personal, his professional opinion. I don't think anybody can question Roy Jones' professional opinion with his history in the sport. I mean, one of the greatest all-time fighters. He wasn't a flash in the pan. He was an Olympian, been in the sport since he was a little boy, has seen it all, you know, the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs. That's one thing. Number two, I really don't think it's strange for a trainer to want to see a fighter work in the gym, spar, to assure them that he's ready for the upcoming fight. I mean, I know the gym I came up in. Your trainer's going to want to put the stamp of approval before sending you out there to fight. 5 days before the fight, or whatever, 5 to 7 days before the fight, maybe that was close. That was a little too close, but not foreign. You know, a lot of guys spar the week of the fight, so not foreign. He was in there with a smaller guy, a lesser experienced guy, and again, if what Roy is saying is true, I agree with him. If he was gonna fight a guy the caliber of Adrien Broner, he should have been able to handle these 3-0 lightweights. And if he couldn't, maybe what Roy did for him was actually protect him. And maybe this injury has, and like I said, it's tough to say when somebody had a broken jaw that it's a blessing in disguise, but we all know that boxing is a very, very brutal sport. And maybe if a guy of that caliber can injure him to that magnitude, it could have been something, God forbid, even worse had he went ahead with the fight with Adrien Broner. Another thing we need to look at, we know now that you can get concussions. There are jaw concussions. That's a real thing. From getting hit in the jaw, you can get a concussion. If this man was hit hard enough to have a fractured jaw on both sides, he quite possibly is concussed. And again, I heard his father in his response saying that he still wanted to go on with the fight and wanted to see if he can still get him approved to fight, even knowing he had a fractured jaw. So if there's a lack of protection in this, and like I said, I'm only going by what I heard, but I did hear from the father himself, we might need to look at the pop. I mean, like I said, I don't know the intricacies, but Roy painted a whole different picture, and he said he could say more. I don't want to play too much of the YouTube, but he said he could have said more, but he didn't want to embarrass Michael Williams Jr. But what he basically was saying in a nutshell was that he was getting touched and hurt by these younger, smaller, less experienced fighters, and he just didn't feel comfortable sending him out against a fighter of Adrien Broner's caliber because he feared that he would get seriously hurt. I don't see where the crime is in that. Again, there's three sides to every story. You know, his side, and the truth. You know what I mean? But Roy's rebuttal at this point makes a lot of sense. I'm looking forward to hear from maybe Michael Williams Jr., a person who was actually there and participated, the person who we're talking about. Maybe we need to hear from him because Mike Sr. wasn't there. We're getting a third party. Roy was there. I think, the next person we need to hear from is maybe Mike Williams Jr. But Roy did shed a different perspective. If what he's saying is true, it's hard to combat what he's saying. But until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, your ass off the floor. Peace.